Right then, let's talk about Ed Miliband's gas problem. Ben Pyle is with us. He is co-founder of the Climate Debate UK. There are various issues with Ed Miliband, mainly because the gas storage levels are concerningly low, we're told. With less than a week of demand available, the operator of the country's largest gas storage site has warned this is because, unsurprisingly, people want to use gas because there have been low temperatures, high demand for gas-fired power, and, of course, the march towards net zero. Ben, what's your reaction to this? What do you think? I mean, my initial thoughts, and you're the expert, but my initial thoughts are, if you start telling people to use less gas and renewables are there, then the renewables aren't that reliable, well, then you're going to have low levels of gas storage. I mean, it seems to be pretty straightforward. Am I right or misguided?
You're probably right. I mean, at this time of year, typically our gas storage reserves are full, but we're apparently, according to an analysis, about 60% where we normally are, and that sort of runs out by the end of the spring. But that's when we need much less heating. So over the next few months, through the summer, into the autumn, those stores are replenished. And there's been no statutory responsibility on Centrica, which is the site, the company that operates these storage facilities. There's been they've got no sort of statutory responsibility to make sure they're at a certain level, and the government certainly doesn't seem to be that interested in taking control of it either. But what we're facing now is essentially years of indifference to this form of energy, which we really do rely on, having now destroyed all of our coal-burning power stations. So now, when there's no wind and when there's no solar, when the sun's not shining, there's no electricity being produced, or there's only a trickle from various other renewable sources or other sources. So this is what we're going to face more and more of. The more the likes of Ed Miliband sort of celebrate the fact. I mean, earlier on in the week, he was tweeting how great it was that for the first time in our history, more electricity was produced from wind turbines than from gas-fired power stations. Now, that's great if your only criteria for measuring the performance of the government and British businesses is just how much energy is produced by the wind versus gas. But all of us need warm homes. All of us need businesses, and all of us need to get that energy for an affordable price. When that doesn't happen, the businesses fold and people go cold, and worse, people become ill or even die. You look at someone like Ed Miliband's ambition, and he's practically fizzing with energy at these kind of developments. He can hardly contain himself about the success of this policy agenda. But this week we've seen temperatures of minus 16 degrees in parts of England. We've seen in the autumn and in the winter, the Ofcom's price cap go up. And that price cap is going to go up again in April, despite the Ed Miliband and the government coming to power on the promise of lower bills. That's manifestly a lie. That's manifestly something that the government told the public in order to get votes, and in order to sort of make them feel safer about the chaos, frankly, that the last government caused with respect to energy policy. And now we're running out of gas. Because no government has taken gas production seriously. They've all been sort of blinded. Let me
get your reaction to what the Department for Energy Security and Net Zero has said in response to this storage alert. I can
probably guess.
Yeah, and this storage alert from Centrica. Centrica is the company that owns British Gas, and it says it has a rare this is a rare notice to power firms given by the UK's energy grid operator. And what the Department for Energy Security and Net Zero, this is Ed Miliband's department, says, we have no concerns and are confident we will have sufficient gas supply and electricity capacity to meet demand this winter due to our diverse and resilient energy system. Our mission to make Britain a clean energy superpower will maintain the UK's energy security in the long term, investing in clean homegrown power and protecting bill payers. What do you make of that, Ben?
Yeah, well, I've read about 12 stories today from the press that were sort of about things such as this. The other one being the rising the energy the other margin notice that was issued by the National Energy Systems Operator on, I think, Tuesday, about the shortfall of electricity. Every answer from the government, from the Department of Energy Security Net Zero, says how great how great it's going to be when Britain is a clean energy superpower, right? That's all they've got to say about these things. So it's true, right? There are ways that these risks of blackouts and supply shortages can be mitigated. That's often by turning off large consumers of electricity, so and gas. So if you run a factory, you get paid to turn off your works, right? And so they said on the same on Tuesday that Wednesday they would not be rolling blackouts. But what happened was the price of electricity per megawatt hour rose to £5,000. So it's £5,000 per megawatt hour. At the end of November, by contrast, it was about £85 per megawatt hour. Now that only happens for a few hours, but this adds more and more to the costs of energy. So the grid becomes less stable, and in order to manage the shortcomings, it costs more and more to stabilize it. And what we should have done is 10 or 20 years ago taken this problem much more seriously. If we were going to go down the climate route, if we were going to go down the net zero route and planned properly, we should have had nuclear power stations if we were going to have zero carbon, or we should have invested more in gas production. We should have exploited more North Sea oil and gas, and we should have developed shale gas, fracking in the UK. But that's been politically, that was a political hot potato. Nobody wanted to go there, and even Conservative governments were very quick to ban it. I think the Boris Johnson government said very early on, we're going to ban this. Liz Truss very briefly turned that around. In her short time PM, as PM, there was a bill to reverse the ban, and then as soon as Rishi Sunak came in, he rebanned it. Right. So there's been no real recognition about what kind of danger there is with short energy shortages. There's lots of discussion, lots of lies actually from the Green movement about how dangerous gas is, how dangerous climate change is, but no one's talking about what it's going to look like when energy gets more expensive and more scarce.
Okay, Ben, thank you very much. That's Ben Pyle there, who's the co-founder of Climate Debate UK.